Phillies talk. Let's go.
What's up, my family? Listen, first-time listener, or you've been here the whole damn time. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, giddy up, let's go, no notes.
That's my baby. That's my baby.
We're going at it at 110%.
I just want 5 minutes of happiness, please. Just give me 5 minutes.
And they scored! They did it!
What the hell was that? Oh, yeah!
What the f*** are you talking about?
What's going on? What's going on, boys? We got the trio back this week talking Philadelphia Phillies baseball. And here's the thing with Mitch Williams and Tom Arnone. And I am your co-host, Chrome. Guys, great week this week to talk about lots of things leading into the playoffs. But first, let's show a little love. We're going to check out Royal Billiards and Recreation. It's the coolest place for all your game room and man cave needs. And for at least the last 41 years, it's a family-owned business. They've been the premier game room store in the Delaware Valley. They're stocked with the very best in pool tables and all the accessories, shuffleboards, card tables, dart boards, bar stools, any of that stuff you guys can think of. So turn any ordinary room into an extraordinary game experience. And did we mention they have hot tubs too? Stop by Royal Billiards, located at 515 Bethlehem Pike in Colmer, Pennsylvania. Or you can check them out on the web, royalbilliard.com, for everything fun and for your home or your office. A lot of cool stuff on there. Check them out online, though, for real. Like
Hot tub just gets me. You know what I mean? Like draws me in.
Who don't love that?
Wait till you're in your late 50s. You can't walk by one.
Changing it up from the tub of ice to the hot tub now, Mitch, and that team. Right?
I never iced my entire career.
Well, you know what?
I used to crack up at the guys that had all over their shoulder and elbow. I never iced once.
Well, listen, lots of fun to talk about this week, guys. We got the playoffs coming up right around the corner, and our opening topic to speak about today is, and again, that's brought to you by Royal Billiards. Given his recent struggles, Seranothy Dominguez has become untrustable in high leverage spots going into the playoffs. Do you agree or disagree? Over on Facebook, YouTube, X, or Twitter, whatever it's called these days. Make sure you guys get in, join the conversation. Any comments that you want to throw in for our topics, as well as any questions for Mitch or Tom, or even myself, which I don't know why you'd throw me one, but why not? Make sure you guys drop them in here, and make sure you like, subscribe, follow, share it out for your friends. But let's start with, and there's Ryan already.
Hey, Ryan.
Let's start with you, Mitch. How are you feeling about Seranothy? Are you agreeing or disagreeing with this opening topic here?
It depends. If he goes out there and he throws the ball downhill like he did 2 times ago, he's great. I mean, he's got angle on his fastball, bite on his slider, but when he gets underneath the ball, it cannot be any flatter than his fastball is. And unless they can correct that and get him on a consistent basis throwing the ball downhill, it's a lot like Nola. When you get around the side of the ball, you don't have any depth in your pitches. So they end up in the seats. So unless they can say, yes, we've addressed his mechanical issue, then no, he is untrustable right now.
Tom?
Yeah, I know Mitch is spot on, obviously. Usually is. And, JT's actually said the same things, right? In so many words, like, it looks like his stuff's better, right? It looks like his stuff has gotten better as the season's going on. He just hasn't fully got the results of it at different times. And obviously, 3 of his last 5 outings, he's entered into a baseball game and is either giving up the tying home run or the go-ahead home run, right? Game-tying home run or go-ahead home run. That's not ideal.
Trust me, Tom, what you're saying right now, that is in his head 100%, and he's wearing it. He's wearing it on his face. That guy that threw 2 nights ago or 2 or 3 nights ago that was throwing the ball downhill, I'll take that guy all day. That guy that went out there and gave that up, no. It's just too flat and hittable.
I agree. But I disagree with the poll, right? Because he was so good last year, right? He was so good last year. And I just can't. I don't think a guy just loses that. He loses, like Mitch is talking about, he loses mechanics a little bit, or he loses it upstairs a little bit. But the stuff he didn't lose, right? And if your catcher's saying the same thing, where he didn't lose his stuff, right, then that's a positive. So we got to get him right. There's not a lot of time to get him right. He's got 13 games. We got 13 games left in the season. But
it would take 10 minutes to get him right.
Yeah, well, they don't get anybody right who's on top underneath the baseball for some reason.
That's how stupid it is. If you just go out there and throw the ball downhill, that's all you have to think in your mind. I don't care how you grip it. Throw the baseball downhill. That's why they put you on a 10-inch mound.
Yeah, you're not playing softball, right? We want to stay on top of it, not underneath of it. Yeah, I just disagree. We need him, right? Like we need him. And I know people are going to say there's other good relievers, but if him and Alvarado aren't right, I got news for people. We ain't going as far as everybody wants to or thinks we are. Those two have to be elite. Or if they're not elite, they have to be good enough. Good enough at minimum.
They have to be good enough to get it into Soto and Kimbrel's hands. That's their job.
Yeah.
All I want to see out of my 7th and 8th inning guys, go out there and consistently throw the baseball downhill. If you do that, you give yourself a chance.
Yeah, I think you guys really touched on a lot of it. And right, the fortunate thing for the Phillies is they do have the very back end of the bullpen solidified, which is a much easier issue as far as trying to figure out the bridge. But to Tom's point specifically, you're absolutely right, because you're looking at experience from these guys now too going into the playoffs, right? Having that experience, and obviously with Kimbrel and Soto, you're going to need experience and guys who have proven to have a little bit of an intimidation factor against the opponents, right? Who other teams come in and say, okay, we know this guy can really sling it, so we have to really take really good at bats here, patient at bats, find our pitches. If that confidence is gone and that fear factor is gone, I think there's a reason to be concerned. But I would actually probably disagree with the poll question as well, just simply because he over the bulk, he's proven to be highly more trustable than he would be untrustable.
Well, all I'm looking at is what I see today and 3 days ago, whenever it was. But those are two different guys. Absolutely two different guys. All you have to do, I wish we had the ability to put video side by side and show you how far under the ball he was yesterday compared to 3 days ago. It was a different guy. You're talking about 98, 99 downhill with bite on his breaking ball versus the, okay, it's never going to change plane. It's still going to be 96, 97, but if it doesn't change planes, you might as well put it on a tee.
Yeah, you're probably taking away a lot of the movement and everything as well.
It's all the movement.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just becomes flat. It just actually goes right into a barrel easier.
You can't get it off the barrel if you don't have depth on them.
Yeah, it's the truth. Like you just find the barrels now. Now you're making it easy on guys. Hence the numbers. Hence the numbers in 3 of his last 5 outings. The long ball. That's what's killed him. What's killed Nola? This isn't chemistry here. Makes sense? This is basic baseball. What's killed Nola? Underneath the baseball, flat, okay, and everything finds a barrel. So if you're flat and you're underneath, you're going to find barrels, especially at this level. You just will. The guys are too good. These guys are too freaking good up at the plate for you to miss.
Hitters get paid to hit mistakes. And pitchers, you're going to make mistakes. You can make a lot more mistakes at 97, 98 than you can make at 92, 93. And that's what Nola sits at. So you can't make mistakes at 92, 93. You can get away with some if you have more velocity, but you can't get away with them if it's just an average fastball.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely spot on for both of you guys. I want to go back to that last comment real quick, Tom. I know it was a long one, but I have to. Ryan says, and Ryan comments in every week. Appreciate you, brother, on a whole lot of shows here.
Yeah, appreciate it, Ryan.
Says I have to agree with the poll, but it's not just Seranothy. It's most of the guys. Seranothy has struggled since mid last season at striking guys out. Hoffman is the only reliable guy out of the bullpen right now. Phillies pitchers seem to be about the radar gun, miles per hour, and not keeping guys off balance and guessing. So there's a lot there to unpack. So I wanted to get your opinions on that.
I agree with. I think Hoffman has been pretty reliable, but what I look at with Soto, these guys, Seranothy, these guys have the ability to come in and blow 3 guys up. But if you come in and you're under or around the baseball, you're not blowing anything up but the scoreboard. So I would just like to see a little more consistency mechanically, and that's where the pitching coach comes in. Even a bullpen coach, if a guy's warming up and you see something he's doing, it's so easy to correct to throw the baseball downhill. All you have to do is think about throw the ball downhill. Pretty simple thought process, and then drive your nose where you want it.
Tom?
Hoffman's been really good for sure. I don't know if I agree that he struggled since mid last season at striking guys out though. I mean, you can show me. There's probably numbers for it, right? Back in your point, I just feel like my eyes haven't showed me that. Maybe this year for sure. I would agree. His strikeout numbers are definitely down. But last year, I mean, he was electric. He was electric in the postseason. I mean, so I don't remember that. And I don't buy into this. Like guys are just trying to dial up the gun. I mean, for what? Like they don't get paid more. They're already in the big leagues. So at the end of the day, what is dialing the gun up to? Like at the lower level, sure, there's guys always trying to dial up the gun, and because that's what gets you to the next level per se. To a lot of these scouts, but I don't know. I don't know if I believe in that. I mean, I just think they haven't been good enough in the pen, right? And they've gone through a rough patch here, but it's correctable, it's fixable. Their talent is back there. The ability to get outs is back there between 4 guys. Right? That I got to believe it's in there somewhere for all 4 of these guys to maybe get hot at the right time. Right? Baseball goes in waves. Right? And I'm just hoping after 13 games that those 4 guys are electric. Because if those 4 guys are electric in our back end, we are going deep into the postseason.
We need to have a guy down there like Kimbrel. The man saved over 400 games in the big leagues. Break off and have a meeting and just talk. Get everything off your chest and go start doing what you're all capable of doing, because they've all got big arms back there. Now it's a matter of coming in and making pitches and doing it the correct way. Number one, it's going to protect you from injury. Seranothy's already had one Tommy John. He stays under the baseball. He's going to have another one, and that's the kind of thing that scares me.
For sure, and he's got a lot of he threw a lot last year, hence why. There's been some wear and tear with him and Alvarado, right? Yeah. Neither one's been 100% this year. So Anthony is like my son. I mean, that's a guy that, I was a big fan of coming up when we didn't have a lot down there. And I thought he was going to be really good, and he has been. But I understand the concerns of how he can be untrustable right now. But you can make the same case for everybody in our bullpen right now outside of Hoffman, because they haven't been great in September, right? Which is fine. Like I said, it goes in waves. Our bullpen was great all year. So I got to figure that they're going to figure some things out and be right from the postseason.
I mean, they can be going through a dead arm stage right now. You go through 2 or 3 of those a year. And all you try and do when you're going through that dead arm stage is focus on the fact that the hitter ain't hitting how you feel. So if you're out there and you don't feel great, but you still locate, that still equals outs. So hitters don't hit how you feel. They hit what they see. So just go out there and make pitches at a different velocity.
No, I totally agree. I mean, you guys hit the nail on the head on everything with that. It's been a crazy week. I think we should definitely dive through that. But first, why don't we take a quick little step away here right now for Royal Billiards? Let's show them a little bit of love, and we'll come back on the other side, and we're going to start talking and reviewing the Atlanta series that happened this past week. Obviously, because of the Eagles game, they moved their Thursday game and had a doubleheader on Monday, so they crammed 4 games in for between Monday and Wednesday, and then come back, get that day off, and travel to St. Louis. So we'll talk about that on the other side. On Here's the Thing with Mitch Williams, Tom Arnone, and your boy Chrome.
Royal Billiard and Recreation, proudly celebrating 40 years and our new, bigger showroom.
Twice the size and twice the fun.
More pool tables by Olhausen. More dartboard sets, including custom reclaimed backboards. More bar and kitchen stools that can change a room.
And more bars, including pre-built and custom.
Hot tubs, skee ball, shuffleboard, outdoor,
and fun.
Royal Billiard and Recreation, your ultimate game room store. Now located on Bethlehem Pike in Colmar.
Williams here. If your company ships freight, join my winning team at Raymond Transportation Corporation. Let us become part of your team. RTC has been serving shippers nationwide for 26 years, with 10 terminals located throughout the U.S., volume LTL, small LTL, truckload, and rail. You can count on RTC to be the closer you need. I know firsthand that the Delaware Valley demands accountability. Call me at 800-206-3983 to schedule a meeting. Give me one shipment, and we will earn the rest.
All right. A lot of love there for Royal Billiards and RTC. Mitch, wonderful, wonderful job.
Yeah.
Professional. Hey, guys, we come back here, and obviously, interesting week, I feel like, this week. And before we even start diving into the games, I did want to actually take a minute and get your guys' opinions, right? I understand the idea of the Eagles are coming home. It's the Eagles' home opener. It's going to be really crowded down there. And doing the solid for the Eagles. However, how do you feel about switching? You're facing a division rival, a team that you're competing for the division, at probably one of the most important weeks in the season, and you're moving into a doubleheader. Do you guys feel any way, one way or the other, about that? Do you feel like
I feel like that's the only reason we got to win. I feel like that's the only reason only way we're going to get a win the way we were playing. So thanks for the doubleheader, because I feel like that's the way I was going to get a win. So I'm thankful. I'm thankful, because if not, we get our butts swept in 4.
Yeah, I was there the night Atlanta clinched. I was in the stadium in Philly with some customers, so I had to witness that. And one of my salespeople is a diehard Atlanta fan, so he was trying to get us killed.
How'd you feel about that being up on the screen, by the way? One way or the other?
Up on the screen, where?
The congratulating the Braves up on this. That was apparently a big thing. I don't think it's a big deal.
I don't know what the big deal's about. It happens everywhere.
They won last year, too. They've won a lot.
Show your respect, because, listen, you don't do it, karma's a bitch. Karma will always be a bitch. So I show it. I beat them. They can win divisions all they want. If I keep beating them in the postseason, your division title means nothing but a little banner, right? It's a little banner. So they're used to division titles and nothing else in Atlanta. All right, I'll give them the couple. They won one a few years back. They get a lot of credit for that. But let's be real, okay? They're always there, but they're always a bridesmaid at the end of the day.
How many years in a row did they win the East? They won it like 14 or 15 years in a row.
Oh yeah,
and only one World Series.
2 appearances, 1 World Series, I think.
I know they only won 1.
Which only to get like 2 appearances, or maybe I'm pretty sure it was only 2. Only like 2 World Series appearances alone. It's pretty terrible. Maybe it was 3.
Either way, it's
Either way, with the amount of divisions they've won in the last 35, 40 years,
and the pitching staffs that they had on those teams in that stretch, when pitching wins in the playoffs.
Yeah.
They fell apart a lot.
Well, that and in the playoff, Maddox and Glavine didn't get 4 or 5 inches off both sides of the plate. They had to throw the ball over the plate.
That's true. That's very true. But so I do agree with you guys in the way that they played in the series. That may have been a very big contributing factor as to why they won. But I'm just looking at the general idea of it. Do you like the idea of a team that is possibly competing? Because obviously this has to be agreed upon ahead of time, right? Because you got to go through clearances. You got to go through multiple organizations to do this, right? Do you feel like in the overall grand scheme, like if they came in playing hot, and then let's say they drop 1 or 2 of those games, and then that's a game turner, because now you're exhausting yourself, and they, you know what I mean? They lost a bunch of the games anyway. But do you like the idea of, you know what, we're going to give them the pat on the butt over there at the link. just to play nice, because I don't like the idea of.
It's all about money, is what it's all about.
It is.
The Phillies moved the game because their gate wasn't going to be much of a gate. They might be able to put 10 or 15,000 people in there for that game, but the majority of Philadelphia people are Eagles fans. They're going to be across the street.
That's a fair point. Yeah, I just don't like the idea competitively when you're.
And then it was a day-night doubleheader, was it not?
What's that? It was a
day-night doubleheader, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Which means the Phillies got 2 gates.
Right.
Yeah, the only thing I would say they could have did that might have been smarter was to play the day game on a Thursday. And have people jump, because a lot of people would love to go to a Phillies game, Thursday afternoon, and then jump over to the Eagles game. Because a lot of those people already take that day off, right? So people would love to jump.
One of the funnest things I did about 2 years ago, I went to a Phillies game to open the day. There was a Flyers game midday. It was a late game. It was like the end of the year. And then I went to a Eagles game at night. So to go all 3, people get into that. People were talking about that day, being able to actually go and do that. And you think about the idea of that. And I agree with Tom, right? Like, to me, that's a way you can almost guarantee yourself more of a gate, because a lot of people take off that home opener day, to where you could possibly pull more people into the gate in the morning for that.
Yep.
And then those people are going to just walk right across the street.
And then what are you going to do for your nighttime game?
We're saying pull the nighttime game and move that to Thursday.
Oh, well, if you do that, then that's a whole different story. But you're going to take away someone else's day off, and the Braves ain't going to have that right now.
Well, no, the Braves, they were originally supposed to play Thursday. So if you take the Thursday game and move it from a nighttime to a day game,
which it should have been anyway. It should have been a day game anyway. It's a getaway day after 4 days.
It is.
I don't know where the Braves were going after us, but at the end of the day, they're traveling somewhere. We had to travel somewhere. Both teams are traveling. So what are we doing? That's a 1:00 game anyway.
What happened to the businessman special out there on Thursdays?
I know.
I thought that's what that day was for.
I thought that's what the getaway day was for. Like, we play a game earlier, right? If you have a 4-game set, a lot of times that 4th game is early, usually. Sometimes even in 3-game sets, depending on where the team's traveling to next.
Yeah, somebody is leaving town after that game. So, yeah, they normally put the day game on the back end.
No, I'm thankful for that, because we would have got our ass kicked on Thursday. And then,
probably.
So, I mean, the way we're playing against the Braves is a little nerve-wracking.
I'll tell you what, I'll be honest with you. The Phillies, if they do get into the postseason, and they're not in yet, there's 4 teams that are within 3.5 or 4 games. So you can't stumble right now.
They lost a half a game this week, Mitch. They were up 4.
And now they're up 3.5, right?
They lost a half a game.
Yeah, because all those teams underneath stink in reality. They don't stink, but you know what I mean. Like, none of them are playing at an elite level to catch anybody.
There's nobody. It's crazy because every year, right, you feel like there's a team
that gets hot
at September. And I don't feel like the Phillies have played well at all for the last 2 weeks. It's been 500 baseball or less.
Right.
But yet they're only, I think, lost like a half of game in like pretty much 2 weeks. They've maintained where they're at despite not playing well.
Well, 2 weeks ago they had a 5-game lead. So now it's down to 3.5. So you've heard me say this over and over, Chrome. This time of year, it is all about taking games off the schedule and not losing anything in the standings.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, if you go out and you lose a game, but the people chasing you lose, you get to take a breath and go into the next day just trying to do what you do.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's all about just get those games off the schedule.
No,
but they got to win them.
Well, they've done well with that. But, again, it's shocking that none of these teams, because they're not great teams by any. Nobody's going to win the World Series, in my opinion. That's behind them. However, that's a team I think you could watch out for. I expected possibly could get hot at this time of year. There's a couple of teams that you would look at and say, Cubs. A couple of these teams, I thought, you know what, they could really turn it on at this, and nobody's done it, including the Phillies. They're almost the beneficiary of a really lackluster
everybody playing bad.
And they did the same thing last year, right? I mean, they were not good in September. Let's not forget that. This was not a great September run. They almost gave it away last year, if we remember, right? So, but all that bad September, when playoffs hit, bang, they were ready to go. So it's weird. Baseball's weird. You would think like the hottest team in September, whoever that may be, has an advantage because they're hot going in. But it's like, okay, is that an advantage? Or you were just hot for 30 games, right? You just had a great 30-game stretch, and now things always even out, and maybe you take a little drop down. Like, it's weird because it's such a marathon of ups and downs and ebb and flow more than any other sport that, I don't know what you want to be going in. You know what I mean? I just want to be like, hey, I'm in, right? And then maybe we can, right? Because, again, we have the arms to throw. When I look at Chicago, when you're talking about, like, teams can make World Series runs out of those teams, Chrome, there's teams that can make a World Series run. I don't think Chicago is that team, right?
Well,
I don't think the
September run. I meant more of a September run to disrupt the wild card.
To disrupt it, okay. I thought you meant if any of those teams could win.
No. Maybe be like I do like Arizona a little bit, but as far as this time of year, I threw Chicago in as like a team I thought could make a disruption here and maybe just be a tough out in the first round. Definitely an out in the first round. But one of those teams that could turn it on at the right time.
I think one of those teams that's chasing us is going to run a starter out there that was in AAA all year long, and they're going to someone's going to put out a starter that no one can hit. And that's where they're going to make a run, when they have a call-up guy go out and do something they are not expecting them to do. And that's what turns the chemistry of a team around. You bring a guy up and put him out there and he deals, the entire team absorbs his energy from that. Just watching a kid do that, it can put a team on a run just because it gives them a spark.
Sorry, I was wrong earlier on another
note.
No. Yeah, it is the Diamondbacks. So the Cubs have dropped. The Diamondbacks have a half-game lead on the Cubs. So the Diamondbacks are in that 2 spot. We hold a 3-game lead now over the Diamondbacks. So that's shifted because it's been Phillies Cubs for a minute now in that 1-2 spot.
3.5 game lead, don't
and that was
we have a 3-game lead. We have a 3-game lead for the main wild card, the top one. We have a 3.5 game lead, only a half a game more for that last spot. So
that's what I'm talking about. You got
a little
4
scary.
teams there.
A little scary.
You cannot stumble. Right now, from here on out, you can't stumble. You can't afford a 2-game losing streak. You can't afford any kind of losing streak. You can afford to lose a game, but don't lose 2 or 3.
No, spot on. It's so congested, and we talked about the schedule a little bit, right? Well, obviously, keep talking about it, but it's not an easy run, right? You got 7 of the 13 versus the Mets. They're on spoiler mode. The Marlins play 6 against the Mets. Then you have obviously the Braves and the Pirates.
Yeah,
and then you have Braves and Pirates. So it's not like the hardest stretch, but it's a stretch you better be focused.
I can tell you this: they don't play well against the Mets, and 7 of their last 13 being against the Mets. Everybody would think that that's advantage Phillies, but there's a mental block or something with this team and the Mets. They just don't play well against them. They don't pitch well against them.
Brian says, how many games did the 2007 Mets give up to the Phillies in the last 10 games?
They were down 7 games with 17 games to play, and the Phillies caught them.
Yeah. I mean, Ryan, it happens. 2011, the Cardinals were like 10 games out. And at September 10th, it came back and ended up winning a World Series that year. It happens. So that's why the Phillies need to be on point. They need to.
What are we talking about? The Mets catching them?
No, we're talking about the Mets spoiling them.
Yeah.
You're talking about Mets being spoiled.
Well, no. Yeah.
He's going on a run.
Agree there. I didn't know where Ryan was going with this. I thought he meant
you know how many of those sour Mets fans are going to come to all those games just to hope and pray the Phillies don't get into the postseason?
Yeah, they will. I
mean, they've both done it to each other. So the Mets, that's what's on their mind right now. All they're worried about now is personal achievements and ruining the Phillies season.
That's a fair point. Eugene Henderson says there's 13 games left with a 3.5 game lead. If the Phils only go 7-6 with the Marlins or Cubs, they would have to go 11-1 to pass them. And that's a fair point. That's the math. That's the mathematical breakdown right there.
Eugene, love some good math. Makes you feel more comfortable sitting at home after seeing that, reading it out, which is the truth, right? So, I mean, I want the one spot. So you want that one
essential
spot
for them to get that.
And still, this is the same thing. Like you have a 3-game lead on that, so the numbers are pretty close. 7-6, they got to go 10-2 per se. Right around there.
So basically, if they go over 500, then somebody's got to win out to pass them. Basically,
So someone's got to win 11 of their last 12.
I don't think that's happening.
No,
and
I don't.
On the other side I think we're probably more on the 6-7 mark than the 7-6 mark. They haven't been playing. They haven't been playing 500 baseball over the last 2 weeks. So it's hard to think that that switch is gonna turn on, but it will at some point. So this would be a good 2 weeks, right? A little less than 2 weeks of baseball to maybe finish a little high.
Yeah. So let's show a little love to Royal Billiards here before we come back on the other side of this little read here, and then we're going to actually dive into some of the characteristics here. As you see on there, find all your game room or your man cave needs at royalbilliard.com. Check out Royal Billiards and Recreation. It's the coolest place for all your game room and man cave needs. And again, for the last 41 years, this family-owned business has been the premier game room store in the Delaware Valley. It's stocked with all the best pool tables, accessories, bar stuff, tables, dart supplies, everything you can think of, guys. And you can turn any ordinary room into an extraordinary gaming experience and a fun place to host a hell of a lot of good times. So don't forget to, what's our favorite part, boys? The hot tubs. So make sure you guys check them out. You can go and visit them at 515 Bethlehem Pike in Colmer, Pennsylvania, or check them out on the web, royalbilliard.com, for everything fun for your home or your office. And obviously, that is like a place.
Oh, I'll be working my way over for a tub.
I'll tell you what, you watch the commercial that we're going to pop up and just seeing the inside of it, I feel like I could just go in there and just spend a day.
Yeah, can you fill the tub up? You know what I mean? a little tub, a little, shuffleboard, mixing, somebody rack it up, get a little pool going. Yeah, I mean, that's a great day.
Oh, yeah.
So listen,
I like doing more than throwing a pool ball at somebody.
Been there a few times, huh, Mitch?
Yeah, a couple.
All right, so we started kind of diving in the general thing, but takeaways from the Atlanta series, right? I think there he goes. Yeah, Diamondbacks, who were behind us, 11 games left. They'd essentially have to win out unless the Phillies absolutely tank at this point. Which I don't.
Well, they're 4 games back in the loss column. They're only 2 games back in the win column.
Yeah, so we'll see how this plans out, but. Takeaways here, guys. Michael Lorenzen had a decent bounce back start this week, I feel like. And how did you guys feel about the starting pitching? I know Wheeler scuffled a little bit. Ranger had a nice start this week. There was a whole lot going on all over the place. So let's start with the pitching, starting pitching. How do you guys feel coming out of the Atlanta series and then maybe the bounce back with the St. Louis series?
Well, I think the St. Louis series was it would have been a bigger deal if they could have held on and won yesterday, but then it'd be a sweep, move on.
Mm-hmm.
A sweep, for some reason, I mean, it just is, as a team, it makes you take a breath. When you're in this time of year, if you can pull a sweep off, it just gives you a lot of confidence going forward.
Tom?
Pitching's been better a little bit. The starters wise. I thought Ranger threw, I didn't think he threw great, but I thought he threw really well. I thought he battled the other day, which is a great sign to see from Ranger. Sanchez has been like a diamond in the rough for us.
That's what I've said all year. He's done a great job at the back end of that rotation.
He really has. Noah was Noah again, right? He was good through 4, and then, they find him.
Oh, he finds them.
He finds them. Yeah, it's probably the better way to say it. I mean, it's been better. It's been better. There's some positives. I don't even look at Michael Lorenzen now because I just look at him as a bullpen guy come postseason. I mean, people can look at it different.
There ain't no way he's bullpen guy for me in the postseason. He's in that rotation. He has the ability to locate and control bat speed. And there ain't very many guys in that rotation that can do that. Wheeler does a pretty good job of it. Ranger did a tremendous job of it with his breaking ball this last start. But this is what I'm looking at. I want guys that when they take them out in the postseason, there's a presence to them. Lorenzen has a presence.
Yeah, the presence for sure. I'm interested to see what they do. I wish I had like an idea, right, on what direction they go with this rotation, come postseason time.
I couldn't believe Taijuan Walker is 15-5. There is no way I would have guessed that. I hadn't followed his numbers. I mean, I've watched him pitch, and to me, he's done a pretty good job. But you go 15-5 with that ERA, you are pitching on the right day.
Yeah, he sure as heck is pitching on the right.
Yeah, I definitely think he's been the benefit of a little bit of defense, benefit of quite a bit of offense on certain days.
Yeah, and there ain't nothing wrong with that. You got to have one guy on the staff that does that.
Yeah.
So Lorenzen's last start was against the Braves.
Right.
So he's been really bad.
He pitched well in that game though. Well enough. I
mean, he gave up four earned runs in 5 innings.
Look at his numbers before. I mean, to me, that's almost.
He gave up 2 homers. What do we? I mean, I don't know how good he pitched. I mean, enlighten me. He hasn't pitched good.
Okay. He gave up 2 homers. How many has Nola given up this year?
I'm not comparing the 2 right now. I'm saying
you have to. You're coming to the postseason. Who are you?
I don't have to. Rotation? I don't have to compare the 2, right? Because both of those guys can be odd man out, right? Because you're looking at Walker is probably going to be in there because whatever reason they win when he throws. That's my guess. Even though he's gotten a lot of help, so there's something to him just winning.
They could both be out. I mean, they could use Ranger.
I'm going to look at Noel's in a second, but his has been like really bad, right? You're talking about 6 earned runs, 4 earned runs. Then he had a decent one against the Angels where it was, 3 earned runs in 6 innings. So we call that a solid start.
No, it isn't, but that's what they call it.
Yeah, that's what they call it. 6. Then he had 6 and 6 versus the Padres in the 8-0 loss. Right. And then he had 4, he gave up 4 runs in 5 innings versus a great Braves lineup. Don't get me wrong. It's just neither one of these guys has ran with it. Right. Like Lorenzen had a real good chance of winning that spot. And I agree with what Mitch is saying. Like he has a presence, he has the stuff. Right. It's a little worrisome that he hasn't thrown well.
I want the guys with the best off-speed stuff and the ability to locate their fastball. That's what I want come postseason. So whoever is doing that, the best, those 3 guys are pitching in the first series.
Yeah, and Noel's had better numbers over the last 5 starts than Lorenzen. Noel's got a 4.88, not crowning that by any stretch, guys.
Yeah, I wasn't making a case for him, by the way. I think at this point, obviously a couple weeks removed from really the last time we had this conversation, I'm looking at. I mean, obviously Wheeler, probably Nola.
Real quick, Chrome. Lorenzen's has a 7.96 earned run average this month. Not that this is like the end all be all. Right. And Nola, who has not pitched good either, has a 4.88. So neither one of them was like ran with it. Like
no, like I said, I want the 3 guys that are throwing the baseball the best and controlling bat speed the best come the postseason. When you get to the postseason, it's all about controlling the bat speed because everybody gets an adrenaline boost for the postseason. So you have to take advantage of that.
Who are your guys? Who are your
right now? It would be Wheeler, Lorenzen, and Ranger is who I'd use, depending on if it's a right-handed lineup versus a left-handed lineup. Then you got a choice of using Ranger or somebody else.
I just can't throw him. I can't trust him to throw him. Oh man,
I would probably do Wheeler as of today. I could change my mind in 2 weeks. I would do Wheeler, Nola, and Ranger.
I have to throw Aaron Nola. Like, I mean,
I'm going to tell you right now,
you don't have to.
I think that's what the manager's going to do.
Yeah,
I feel like his hands are tied, right? Because he's like, well, Noel's had like 2 starts over his past 5 that were really good, and then other ones were terrible. So I feel like Robbie thinks deep down, like, can I get one of those starts from him? You know, who do I get a better chance of getting a great start out of? Right, a guy who's pitching the postseason in Nola, or Michael. Like, I like Michael a lot. Like, his stuff to me, and the way I think Rob looks at it. I'm thinking he may look at it this way, is Lorenzen probably has better bullpen stuff, right, than Nola's going to bring to you. So at least it gives you somebody with really good stuff in the back end, somewhere in the back end. Like, he's not closing a game out for you, but maybe like a 7th inning, 6th inning type situation. All right. And I think he looks at Sanchez the same way in a way. I think he's going to look at Sanchez, who I like. I don't know if I give him a ball in the postseason, but I think he can get you outs in tough spots out of the bullpen,
Sanchez is
too.
going to come in the postseason if the Phillies get down 3 or 4 to nothing.
Okay, so you don't think he'll pitch with a lead at all then?
I don't believe so, no.
No, that's fair, because he probably doesn't.
When you have a lead, you want guys coming out of that bullpen that have done it, and that's what they do for a living.
I agree.
You don't want to –
How much
you got Randy Johnson sitting down there.
How much pen work has Lorenzen got over his life? I feel like he's had to throw out of the pen a little bit, right? Right? He has.
I think he was a spot starter previously.
So he's semi. Listen, he's semi used to it more than anybody else. More than anybody else in his rotation, right? So it's interesting. Listen, I'm thankful it's not my decision, right? Because you better be right.
Yeah.
And I don't know what's right. You can make
you're
case
going to
for
put
all
up a guy in the bullpen that's won 15 or 16 games. I'm not sure if he won his last start or not. Or did he start last night?
Who, Walker?
Yeah.
I think he started last night. Let me check.
No, I don't think he started last night.
I think he lost his last start, I feel like.
If he didn't start last night, then he won his last start. They beat St. Louis the first 2 games.
Am I wrong, though?
Look at my crack staff back here looking up numbers.
I think they might have thrown 6 starters this week, though, because of the doubleheader.
Well, I know Walker started. I don't know. I can't remember if it was last night or the night before.
All right, so Walker started.
Oh my goodness.
Please hold.
No, they're showing me They're showing me 2022, and I'm like, why can I not find him?
All right, so I
got him. He started versus St. Louis.
Last night was St. Louis. Yeah, he lost his last 2 starts, I think.
Yes, he lost his last 2 starts.
He lost last night?
And he's given up a lot of runs.
How could he have lost? It was tied in the 9th, wasn't it? Or the 8th? He wasn't still in there.
He was in the 7th.
Yeah, he gave up 5 runs yesterday.
But the Phillies tied it up, did they not?
Hold on, Mitch. Let me look at it because I think
he had to have a no decision.
That's what I'm looking
Phillies
at right
tied it up, and then in the 8th, the bullpen gave up a run. Cardinals went ahead.
So he didn't take a loss.
No, he did not get the loss. Sir Anthony got the loss.
He took the out.
Yeah.
But
But again, he
you're going to have a guy that's won 15 games for you sitting down in the bullpen, and I don't think that's a bad thing.
No, I wonder if he gets a start. But I don't know, right? I think, like you said, it depends on the matchups. Round 1. Yeah. Who are you playing?
Trust me when I tell you, they are going to study this from every pain in the ass analytical view they can find, and that's how they're going to come up with it. So you know why they do that? So they don't have to answer the questions.
Exactly. That's what the numbers said.
The numbers said it. I didn't do it. The numbers did it.
Yeah. That guy with the khakis and the freaking docksides came in.
That's what analytics does for a manager, a pitching coach, everybody that's involved on the field.
Yeah.
So I did what the numbers told me to do.
That's the thing now. It's the trend.
I want a manager that can watch the damn game and know what's going on in front of him and base the decisions off of that, not what has happened in the past.
Yeah, and Eugene did hit it, and that's what I thought. I'm pretty sure when Lorenzen started transitioning out of the field, he was out of the bullpen and used as a spot starter. So really, I actually believe this year or last year are really the first years where he was really used primarily as a starter. So other than that, his whole career, he's kind of been a side to side. Speaking of managers, by the way, let's send some love out to Charlie Manuel, guys. obviously with everything that happened this week. Sounds like he's on the mend and doing much better. So
I have not heard, Chrome. What is going on?
He had a stroke the other day.
Oh, did he really?
So
they were clearing out. He was in the hospital. Thank God. If there's a place to have it,
he was having a medical procedure done. Yeah.
Yeah, and during the medical procedure, he had a stroke, and
I hate to hear that.
And
that's one of my favorite people in baseball ever.
And we're working on some things too, by the way. And that the sad thing is, I just talked to my buddy, who obviously is friends. He's friends with Charlie and he's friends with Ryan Howard. And he asked me which one would we rather have on, and I said, well, either or works for us. I said, love me, Charlie. Love RH too. So, and I just had that conversation with him last week, and then the Charlie news happened.
I can't believe I just got back from Philly on Saturday.
Yeah,
I can't believe I hadn't heard about it.
But he's doing better. He's doing better. Thank God, he's doing better.
Oh,
but
like
look,
Leaky Jeeps wants what it's like to win 12 games as a reliever, like I did in '91. That was one of the funnest months of my life. Every time we go to extra innings, Fergosi to give me the baseball. I went 8-1 in August with 5 saves. I mean, to win 8 games in a month, well, that set the reliever record. I was one shy of Grover Cleveland Alexander. He held the record with 9, and I got my 9th win on September 1st, so it didn't count.
Man,
I got him one day late. Record tied him, but I do hold the reliever record.
Man, what a name to be up there with, though. Grover Cleveland Alexander. What a name to be chasing there.
Right?
Yeah. I had no clue when it was going on. I knew I was winning games or getting lucky, and every time I came on the field, the offense scored. So it worked out pretty well.
Yeah, and before we run the commercial, I do want to ask you, since you've kind of done something that, in terms of that's pretty really impressive in baseball history. Is that something you can kind of channel out? Obviously, you said you weren't really aware. I think about some of these guys in hit streaks, right? And it's like, do you start to focus on that? We've seen, Billy Crystal's, I thought, movie of 61, where he goes through the chase of 61 with Roger Maris, and seeing the kind of pressure that goes on certain guys. But, and obviously that's New York. That's one thing. But then when you think about, if you remember a few years ago when Jimmy Rollins was on his hit streak, like, do you tune that stuff out? Is it possible to do that?
For hitters, I can't speak for them, but I can tell you from a pitcher's perspective or a reliever's perspective, I had no clue what these records were. None whatsoever. All I was doing is every time the phone rang and it said my name, I went in to pitch. I never kept track of records, none of that stuff. I hold a bunch, which is shocking, but I never kept track of it. I think if you start playing the game for a record and that's your mindset, it takes you out of your zone, of the zone you've been in. The record has come or is going to come because you're just out there being yourself. You start thinking about breaking records, you ain't gonna break them.
That's big facts there. Let's step away for a couple quick minutes. A little love to RTC and Royal Billiards, and we'll come back on the other side, and we'll do our final segment of the show.
Royal Billiard and Recreation, proudly celebrating 40 years and our new, bigger showroom.
Twice the size and twice the fun.
More pool tables by Olhausen. More dartboard sets, including custom reclaimed backboards. More bar and kitchen stools that can change a room.
And more bars, including pre-built and custom.
Hot tubs, skee ball, shuffleboard, outdoor,
and fun.
Royal Billiard and Recreation, your ultimate game room store. Now located on Bethlehem Pike in Colmar.
Mitch Williams here. If your company ships freight, join my winning team at Raymond Transportation Corporation. Let us become part of your team. RTC has been serving shippers nationwide for 26 years. With 10 terminals located throughout the U.S., volume LTL, small LTL, truckload, and rail. You can count on RTC to be the closer you need. I know firsthand that the Delaware Valley demands accountability. Call me at 800-206-3983 to schedule a meeting. Give me one shipment, and we will earn the rest.
Damn right, RTC will.
Damn right.
We'll be on time, too.
So, yeah, guys, this week coming up, we kind of touched on it, obviously. A big week. You can't start losing ground now. Even though
you can't look past today. The
No.
Phillies cannot look past today. They have to just win the game that's in front of them. When that happens, games fall off the schedule. They start talking about magic numbers and all that crap. Just win the game in front of you.
This is an important series too, right? I mean, this is an important series for upstairs, right?
Yep.
Which is so important to baseball and all sports, right? Is the mental side of it. They need to play good baseball this series. They need to take 2 out of 3. And I don't really put that on teams too often. This team needs 2 out of 3. They need to go. They need to go and win a series versus the Braves. I think that goes a long way, especially in Atlanta, which has been a house of horrors at different times over the last, not only the last few years, but period. Right?
Atlanta's already clinched, and I would love to see
now if they win, they're 1 win away, Mitch, from clinching that. If they win tonight, they clinch that number 1 overall seed. So that's what they're shooting for tonight.
Well, people that think the Braves aren't going to have anything to play for with the Phillies knocked them out last year. They don't want the Phillies in the postseason. They don't want to take a chance with that lineup. They don't want to take a chance with those pitchers getting back on their games and having to face that starting rotation and the relievers at the back end of the bullpen. Atlanta knows the kind of talent the Phillies have. They are not going to lay down and let the Phillies get into the postseason.
Yeah, I think, kind of piggybacking off of what you guys said, right? Atlanta is a really big series coming up. And despite, obviously, what the standings say for the Mets, when you have a team that constantly gives you a hard time and you have, 7 games, 7 out of 13 left against them, I believe?
No, 7 out of 13 against the Mets.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. So 7 out of 13 against the Mets, right? You cannot go scuffling and tripping over your own feet going into the playoffs, right?
They have to win both those series. If they win both those series, I think they're in.
Yeah, I just think they just need a tough. It's building confidence, right? I feel better that Eugene put those numbers in there as far as giving us the mathematic breakdown, because it seems like as long as they handle, if they play 500 baseball the rest of the way, they're going to lock in the number 1 wild card. That being said, though, you want to see them pitching better, hitting better. Castellanos is starting to move back up in the lineup a little bit, which is a pleasant thing to see. And Trey's still hitting. The offensive woes haven't been it's 52 minutes and 20 seconds in, guys, and we have not talked about offensive woes. Think about that.
That's amazing, because the turnaround Trey Turner's made is unbelievable.
At the right time.
I mean, you could have had all 5 of my kids, my house, everything. I'd have bet you there was no way he was getting to 25 home runs this year.
Mitch, we talked about it so much, right?
I mean, beat it to death. And then you turn around and look, and he's doing exactly what we said he needed to do. Just quit wrapping the barrel around your head. And he's got ungodly pop to be a bony kid like he is.
He really does. He can drive.
He's got stupid pop. To watch him go up, he's a shortstop. He might weigh 180 pounds, and he hits balls out of center field like it's nothing.
His bat speed's crazy.
Yeah.
I got a clock going off in the background. That's why I'm on mute.
Is that what it is? But he's been tremendous. He really has. And what a way to get it all figured out, right? I mean, now we got to give
standing ovation from the fans in Philly.
Now we got to give JT a standing up.
Yeah, he turned the fans in Philly. All they did, they turned Trey Turner's brain loose. That's all they did. They untied his brain, let him go out and play the game he's played his whole life.
Yeah, you get that little confidence boost that, okay, listen, we recognize the type of player you are. You haven't been that guy this year, but we're still behind you. I mean, that's got to be uplifting in terms of just taking the weight of the world of that contract in one of the toughest professional sports cities in the world, not just the country, has to be relieving, taking hundreds of pounds off your shoulders. So,
oh yeah, look at what this city did for Alec Boehm. Alec Boehm could have shriveled up and died after he said that, and it was caught. He owned up to it. That's all Philadelphia people want. They want you to own up to your own actions, your own performance. When you suck, don't expect a round of applause for it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Swoop, I'm good, Ryan. I love you to death. Okay, I'm not going to sit here for a guy who's way too freaking talented and talk about how hard he worked behind the plate. Okay, because I'm not paying him that money just to work behind the plate. I'm supposedly getting the best offensive catcher in baseball. All right, and if you want to cut nets down at the end of October and you want to walk down Broad Street, you ain't doing it with JT batting 255. You're just not doing it. He's too good. He's too good. So and when I get hard on guys, that I expect it from. Now, can you slump in this game? Of course. But the fact that I constantly watch his front side open, I constantly watch him land open, and then he wonders why he can't drive anything to the opposite field. He said in the quote, well, if I knew to fix it, I would fix it.
That's the fix.
The fix is right there. What do you mean?
Get your feet closed. Get your foot down and be closed. And then he is a dangerous hitter. When he doesn't get back to close, he is an out. Because those balls that he's driving out of right center when he gets closed, it's the exact same pitch he's rolling over on because he doesn't get back to close. It's not rocket science. It just takes somebody to have the balls to go up and tell him, get your ass back to closed. That's why you're rolling over on the baseball.
Well, I think it's important to remember too, right? I mean, we can acknowledge how good of a job JT does behind the plate, but this team is constructed and this offense is built with him being a factor of being one of the catalysts of this team.
He's one of the guys they are counting on 80 RBIs out of.
Yeah.
At least.
He's expected to be a catalyst, right? Certain teams are built differently, right? St. Louis knew going into the seasons all those years, Yachty was going to hit 240, get you a couple really big hits, and manage a pitching staff. So they added more offense around him to offset a lot of that. The Phillies are built differently. They know he brings a solid game behind the plate, but the whole thing with him is he has to continue to hit consistently and situationally hit. And that's kind of where the inconsistency's has been the situational hitting this year. Eugene says his average is bad, but he hits 265 or under every year, but one. It's his on base percentage. It's 40% lower than it's been.
That means he's
numbers.
He's not walking.
It's his power numbers too. Like we're talking about doubles and homers. All right, that's what he's getting paid to do. He's a big, strong guy. He's getting paid to drive the baseball at a high clip. I'm not telling you he's going to hit 35 home runs in a year, but there's no reason. I can
tell you this: if JT got back to square, he could hit 35 home runs a year easy. If he can consistently get his front foot back to square. But he doesn't. And I don't know whether it's something that it just won't allow him to close his hips or what it is. But when he does get back to square, how many balls have we seen him drive out of right center? And it's all because of where he puts his front foot down.
Yeah.
What are we looking at here, Tommy?
Well, I just, I like when the numbers don't really matter. I mean, he's been 248, guys. Like,
but how many walks does he have? 25?
He has 33 walks. I mean, he has 33 walks. His on base percentage is 308. I mean, he last year's the kind of year I need from JT Realmuto. It's 276. It's 22 homers. It's 84 RBIs.
That's what they expect.
That's what they expect. I mean, you're talking about a guy who has 56 RBIs right now. That's what we're talking about. Right? You're going to get me all fired up about JT. I mean, 56 RBIs? Are you kidding me?
How many does Trey Turner have?
That's a good question.
70-something, I believe.
Trey has 75.
75 RBIs. And Trey was absent until around the 1st of August. Wasn't even a shadow of himself.
Bryce Harper has more RBIs than JT Realmuto. So
that's unbelievable.
Now JT's on, he's played in a lot less games than a lot of guys, but 56 RBIs is not good enough.
I just think it's situational too, right? He's not. He
is the kind of hitter I want at the plate, Chrome. When you look at guys that you want to face with a runner in scoring position, JT is that guy. Because all you know is you have to throw strike one. And then you don't have to have the baseball across the plate at all again. because JT knows he's being paid to drive in runs, so he expands the strike zone when there's guys in scoring position. It's a stupid thing to do, but that's what they get paid to do. I knew all I had to do was throw strike one to an RBI guy. Because if there's guys out there, their job is to drive them in. So I know what JT's trying to do.
Yeah. Well, guys, we'll see if we can we'll see how this week turns around. Obviously, tough series coming up in Atlanta. A lot of tough games coming up. Make sure that they, you want to get that pitching staff in order, and obviously we want guys like JT and all to start hitting a little bit better in some of the bigger spots. I really think
he triggers me. I'm sorry. JT triggers me.
Yeah.
He's been a trigger.
I really think that's been the issue. I think it's not even I don't think it's totally the numbers. It's the situational things. He's doing things when it's not as important in the game, right? Where you need him to be a big
look at his front side. Look at his front side when
you're
there's a guy on
base. The mechanics have been inconsistent. We've been talking about that all year. But it's like even those times, right, where like JT's struggling, Bryce struggling, Trey's struggling, and like you need those other guys to pick up, right? That's why this lineup is so freaking deep, is that you would expect that if one or two guys aren't there, the other 6 or 7 in the lineup are going to be able to pick up for them, right? There are times in this year where JT's been put in a position to protect somebody in the lineup, and he hasn't protected them whatsoever.
No,
because the situational hitting's been terrible. And then maybe that's a little bit on Rob too for not recognizing that maybe JT's a guy who needs to be shuffled around the lineup at certain points to get his back going as well. And that's a conversation for another day because we are at our time this week.
Alrighty.
But listen, this was a lot of fun. Anything for the cause before we jump off here, gentlemen?
I'll say this: the Phillies better guard against getting swept against Atlanta. If they get swept against Atlanta, I don't know if they get in the postseason.
They'll get in. I wouldn't feel good about their first round though. I don't care who they face. That's a gut punch going into the playoffs.
If you take that gut punch and then you have 7 games to play against a team you don't have good numbers against in the Mets, that's mentally stressful. Go get if they win 1 game in Atlanta, they're in the postseason. That's how I view it.
I just don't feel like, and you're right, but I just don't feel like the benefit they have is nobody behind them is playing. Yeah. Nobody's setting the world on fire behind them. Arizona is the only team I would look out for. They'll get in the postseason. I just don't know how they're going to feel on their way in. You know what I mean? Are they going to sprint across the line, or are they going to be tripping over their own feet and falling right at the tape?
The next 3 days will tell you that.
Yeah. Anything
we're going to find out. Nah, same thing. Better. It's a big series. Come ready to play baseball.
Well, yep. Big week of Phillies baseball. Last couple weeks of the season. Make sure you guys check it out. Make sure you guys come back here every Monday, 1 p.m. with Here's the Thing. Mitch Williams, Tom Arnone, your buddy Chrome here. Lots of shows this week. We're going to be reviewing Eagles. We're going to be talking, wrestling. We talk everything on this station. So make sure you guys check us out. Shows every day. Eagles recaps, Eagles preview shows coming up this week. And hopefully you don't get sick of some of our faces because, we're going to be bringing a lot to you. So
we're all trying to grow hair over them.
That's true.
So people don't have to look at them.
That's true. Me and you were starting to like a beard war.
Oh, yeah.
Since I first was on with you, we've both been kind of going here.
I dyed mine white.
But, yeah, make sure you guys are on all of our social media platforms. Like, subscribe, follow, show the love. Even if it's something you're not into and you got a friend who is, hey, do me a favor. Share a link, send it in an email, send it in a text message. Tell your buddies, tell your friends, tell your wives, tell your kids to check it out. For myself.
And thanks to all the people that do tune in. We appreciate it.
We love the comments every week.
Thank you, guys.
A lot of
like to answer those questions, yeah.
Yeah,
the numbers we got from Eugene.
Yeah. Questions, numbers, appreciate that. Hey, we got our own little quote-unquote hembos out here. It's helping us out. So for myself, for Mitch, for Tom, and everybody here at A2D Radio, we love you guys. Thank you. Have a great week and tell somebody you love them.
Peace out.
See you guys.